right, so Kimberly and Jeff, talk about All the Line, what it's about, what you want to do with it, and some of the projects coming up, and then discuss the Veterans Project.
Fantastic. And we're using both cameras, correct?
We're using
All right, awesome. Great, so All the Line Studio and Incubator, it is an independent film production company on a mission to change the paradigms of the industry for the better. So what does that mean? You know, what we're aiming to do is create a company that's different from a lot of the independent film companies you see out there. We're looking to create an artistic and creative home for a large amount of creatives to be a part of, creating it as a full-time company. So think of a theater company, think of an orchestra, think of an art museum. You have a full-time staff that's there. And that's something that we take for granted when it comes to art organizations, but when we think about film, we don't think of that as being a possibility. You think of film as being completely commercial venture, everyone's out, you know, to make it in Hollywood, all of that. We're looking to create a nonprofit that creates art and is supported by community, supported by sponsors, donations, grants, where we're actively creating art and creating a base for local creatives in the Orlando area to be a part of. And that can function outside of Hollywood and become an independent film source here in Florida. So, yeah. And I don't know if you wanted to add any more to that.
Yeah, it's the... As an independent, we have the capabilities of giving a lot of people opportunity that might not exist elsewhere, just because of the very nature of our setup. If you're a young actor, you know, going from gig to gig or trying to find a gig, but you have aspirations for a writer, write a script. Let's look at it. Maybe we can do something with that script. Do you want to direct something? Maybe we're going to have a micro short, a short film, something we're going to stage. We'll give you a chance to direct that. We want to give you opportunities. People gave us opportunities at one time or another. We got to keep pushing that forward. And quite frankly, it's fun to find talent out there that didn't realize they had talent in other areas of entertainment.
I mean, a lot of times, you know, someone will graduate film school or say, hey, I want to do film, and they don't know where to go, especially in Orlando. Everyone says, go out there, go to Atlanta, go to LA, go to New York. But, you know, if you want to stay here and, you know, you have family here or you just love being here and you don't want to go anywhere, we want to be a creative base for people to create. And one thing that Jeff brought up is like the fluidity concept. You know, I worked for years in the production, you know, in film and television in New York, and one thing I really noticed was you're kind of locked into where you're at. Like, you start in locations, you kind of live in locations, the locations department, or, you know, you're in production, or you're creative. We want it to be fluid. So one thing about All the Line is it comes from the idea of there's above the line and below the line in the industry. And above the line is typically traditionally seen as the creative people. So the writers, the producers, the actors, all of that. And then below the line are the everyday crew positions like the grips, or, you know, the production assistants or locations departments. And what I found when I was working in the industry is that there's this divide. And when you're below the line, you don't feel like you're really a part of it all. Like, you're working, but I feel like you don't get, you don't fully feel like you're a part of it or fully respected. You feel like you're for hire, or, you know, it's just a job. What we want to do with All the Line is show that every single position creates a film, creates a television show, and should be valued and important. And just because you start out in one spot doesn't mean you can't grow to do something else. So we encourage writing, we encourage directing. One thing that we started is doing like a web series, webisodes, and we've encouraged like people to take charge and direct and write and act and do all different things, because you know, you could start out as a production assistant, but you have a really good idea for a show. You should be able to have the capacity to leap through all the different ladders and become like a showrunner or a producer, and just being able to realize people's potential in so many ways. Yeah.
I mean, we're hoping to find that next great director out there. Someone who's been a background actor all their life, where they find out they really got the touch for direction or writing. We'll find those people, and the fun part is watching it evolve.
And on that is creating opportunities. You know, we've like our collective has grown. Like, I mean, last I counted, it was like 60 people that have been involved, but I think it's grown to like 80, 90, perhaps. I got to do a head count soon. And creating opportunities for people to be a part of projects, and I'm so excited about. And that's one thing that, like, we're so ambitious, right? We have our Next Step screenplay series, which we do every month, where we stage an original feature-length screenplay, get a Q&A with screenwriters afterwards. We have this Veterans project that we just filmed, which is documenting stories of wartime veterans, support personnel, families, people that have been through war. We have that. We have our webisodes we're creating. We have short films. We also have plans to make feature films as well. There's so many opportunities, and the amount of talent that's here and ready to do it, all we just need is like the green light for things, is amazing, because we have such an incredible team that wants to create, that wants to be here and make stuff happen. So, yeah.
I mean, some of the ideas that we've got, Kim and I didn't come up with. Someone else in the group came up and said, have y'all thought about doing this? And I would like to help run it. I would like to be a part of it. So now they're getting producing experience. And before that, they were writer, actor, non-producer. So they're coming up with the ideas also.
Talk about the Veterans Project in a little more detail. Talk about what it's all designed to do.
The Veterans Project was designed to take the untold stories of veterans, support personnel, and their families, and make sure these stories were told, they're documented in some way. As we told a recent subject, you only had to tell the story one time in your life, and we're going to film it, and now it's documented, and you can share this piece with other people any way you want to do it. We want to hear stories not necessarily about the battlefield. We want to hear the stories off the battlefield. You know, what was it like, you know, at base? If you're in the bush, you're at the cantina, you're flying home, you're flying out. You know, you're working with soldiers. You know, we recently interviewed a family that escaped Vietnam. Starting with the American evacuation 75, it took them 3.5 years to get out of Vietnam, so we heard their story and how they acclimated to the United States. This is a wartime story that just doesn't get told. We want to hear those stories. We've got World War II stories that we'll be working on, not necessarily with the veterans, but with their family members. Fortunately, we've got access to recorded interviews with the actual soldiers, but we don't want those stories to go away either. Either way, we want people to understand what happens in a wartime situation that we may not understand here.
And what we're doing with these stories is we're compiling them, and, you know, we're shaping them, and we're not quite sure like where this is going. This could be a feature film, this could be a series of short documentaries. Right now we're in this wonderful exploratory phase of just gathering stories and seeing what are the common themes, like what are these common trends, like what do we find that's in common, different, and then shaping it from there. So it's being able to have the freedom to approach this project from just a discovery of curiosity, of saying, let's listen to this person and find out this weave of a story of where it goes, is remarkable. And it's quite the journey, and it's exciting to see where it's going to go over time.
One last question. Where do you see the collective in 5 years? Where would you like to be?
I would like to see a full-time company with positions that people are on salary and able to create year-round. So where we would have a full-time staff that's working on projects throughout. Like we're filming a feature film in March, and then we're shooting a bunch of shorts in April, and then working on different things. The goal is to create a constant flow of creation and continue to build the company. It's amazing how it's grown over the last year, and that's with like bare bones budgets and and just like people really pitching in, and to get more community support and to continue to build this and to become a creative home. I'd like to have some like actual like roots, like actual brick and mortar type of place, studio where we could be, and to just really imprint ourselves as being an actual production studio that's here in Orlando. So.
And we've got the stories. There's a stack of scripts in the other office of what I think sets us apart from a lot of other groups is everybody who writes a script knows that there's a real possibility they're going to see that script come alive in some form or fashion with us. Maybe it's not going to be a feature film, but unless you've got $10 million, and then please talk to Kimberly because we will take it. But we can do a stage reading so you can hear the characters come alive. If you've got a short, we'll do a stage reading. If you got a micro short, we'll film it and put it online. As a writer, that's something to know that I can take it from the written page to actually seeing it come alive in some form or fashion. And we've got the material, like with the veterans. We're going to do something with all these interviews. So stand by, but we've got a lot of really cool things coming up in 2025.
Yeah, and especially with being an independent filmmaker, it can kind of seem like a lonely road. And so we want to take that lonely road and we want to make it a collective journey, right? Where you feel like you have other people around that support you, that, we have a Discord channel where we have members that are conversing and sharing things like, hey, I have, my script, will someone read it? We want to create an environment where you don't feel alone as a filmmaker because, that lonely road can make people give up or discourage them or just, not allow people to blossom and bloom. And so we really part of the, it's called Studio and Incubator, all the lines Studio and Incubator, because we're incubating. And at first I thought it was about works, like we're creating projects and we're incubating that, a script. But we're also incubating people and creatives and talented. We're just creating incubating talent and people, not just projects. And that's been a wonderful discovery to find over the last year. So that's what we want to be. We want to be a source for people to grow and blossom and bloom, and to look back on this years from now and say, hey, this is something that was just as formative as something that like the group theater back in like the 30s for theater, or like Pixar, just a lot of different things where I think we can start something really special. We already have. It's letting it grow.